The year is 1848, and the people of Europe are just a little bit upset. Revolutionary fervour had gripped the continent, as peasants demanded an end to the last vestiges of serfdom, the middle classes demanded an end to absolute monarchy, and differing nationalist factions demanded autonomy or independence left, right and centre. But we don't really care about all that. We're here to talk about Austria-Hungary, a country that didn't even exist until 1867. Although, I suppose the Austrian Empire did exist in 1848. I wonder what they were getting up to. Well, the empire's ruling dynasty, the Habsburgs, had ultimate authority over all decisions of state, and lived in enormous palaces in the capital, far from the ordinary people. Okay, that doesn't look great. I'm sure it gets better though. Let's see here. Oh yes. While serfdom was abolished in Austria in 1781, a system of forced labour known as the corvée system was still very much in place. Okay, well that's still only 2 out of 3. Let's see here. Oh, the empire was made up of a large number of ethnic groups, all ruled over by an Austrian upper class. I guess this is going to be fun. In 1848, revolutionaries took to the streets across the Austrian Empire, but most notably in Hungary and in the Austrian capital of Vienna. The Hungarians, Austria's largest non-Germanic ethnic group, declared their independence from the empire in March. The imperial army was mobilized and sent into Hungary, but it was pushed almost all the way back to Vienna by the impassioned Hungarians. There, protesters, mainly young academics, forced the abdication of Emperor Ferdinand I in favor of the man who would rule over the Austrian Empire and then the Austro-Hungarian Empire for the next 68 years, his nephew, Franz Joseph. The new emperor immediately called for Russian aid against the Hungarians. He invoked the Holy Alliance, an agreement between Austria, Prussia, and Russia after the defeat of Napoleon, which aimed to defend monarchy and conservatism across Europe. The Russians sent in over 200,000 troops to assist the Austrians, and by the end of 1849, Hungary was once again firmly under Austrian control. So, hang on a minute, Hungary was crushed, obliterated, smashed, completely reincorporated into Austria? So then why on earth did the Austrian Empire reform into Austria-Hungary only a scant 18 years later? Well, the answer lies with one man, and he wasn't Austrian or Hungarian. He was Prussian, and his name was Otto von Bismarck. You see, among Franz Joseph's many titles was the presidency of the German Confederation, a loose collection of German states in Central Europe, of which Austria and Prussia were the most and second most powerful members. In the mind of Bismarck, the Prussian Chancellor, Austria, a multi-ethnic empire, was incapable of leading the German states. He saw Prussia as the natural leader of Germany and sought to exclude Austria from all German affairs. In pursuit of this aim, Prussia declared war on Austria in June 1866. Just over a month later, the Austro-Prussian War, or the 7 Weeks' War, was over. Prussia, with her German and Italian allies, crushed Austria. Emperor Franz Joseph was forced to give up the presidency of the German Confederation, and it was abolished shortly afterwards. In its place, the Prussian-focused North German Confederation was formed. It excluded Austria. The Austrians also lost most of their remaining territory in Italy to the Kingdom of Piedmont-Sardinia, including the empire's wealthiest province, Lombardy-Venetia. With the empire once again on the verge of collapse, Hungary saw a perfect opportunity to escape Austrian rule. In a desperate attempt to save his empire, Franz Joseph had no choice but to enter into negotiations with the ever-rebellious Hungarians. In 1867, both Franz Joseph and representatives of Hungary agreed to the Austro-Hungarian Compromise. The agreement, in essence, made Austria and Hungary completely different sovereign states, though with Franz Joseph as Emperor-King of both nations. Austria was given modern-day Czechia, Slovenia, a portion of the Adriatic coast, and parts of Poland, Italy, Slovakia, and Romania, while Hungary had control over Transylvania, parts of modern-day Croatia and Serbia, and the rest of Slovakia. After its annexation in 1878, both countries jointly controlled Bosnia and Herzegovina. Many of the terms of the compromise had to be renegotiated every 10 years between the parliaments of Austria and Hungary. which often led to destabilizing clashes between the two halves of the empire. Though Austria-Hungary itself had no real legislative power, instead, power was wielded by the parliaments of the two different nations and, obviously, the emperor. There was no common citizenship. One was either Austrian or Hungarian, not both. There were two different passports, one for Austrians and one for Hungarians. Both nations had their own constitutions and legal codes. They even maintained their own armies, but there was also a common army with soldiers from both halves of the empire. The only exceptions to the two countries' autonomy were in foreign affairs, defense, and finance directly related to military matters, which all had common ministries shared between the two states, as well as, of course, a common ruler in the Habsburg Emperor. Everything else, and I do mean everything else, was handled independently by the separate governments in Vienna and Budapest. There was one huge problem with this arrangement though. Maybe you've spotted it? Let me give you a hint. The empire was made up of a large number of ethnic groups all ruled over by an Austrian upper class. Well, all the Austro-Hungarian Empire really did was change that from an Austrian ruling class to an Austrian and Hungarian ruling class. All the other ethnicities, the Czechs, the Poles, the Italians, the Romanians, the Serbs, the Slovenes, the Slovaks, among others, still were under the rule of foreign powers, and frankly, they weren't all that happy about it. But that will be covered in a future episode of Super Easy History. For now though, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future episodes on this channel. You can also check out the two videos off to the side here. If you enjoyed this video, there's a great chance you'll enjoy one of them as well. And as always, thank you for watching Super Easy History.